Are Harley Davidson racist, homophobic and anti-women? Let's get into it.
RevelatorAlf.
Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. So I've got a set of gears, gearbox shafts, let's say, for this Riehu build. And as soon as I opened it, I thought, God, what gripes my gears? And see what I did there? Right, so this video is all about Harley Davidson as a company, and are they racist? Are they homophobic? And are they anti-women? And when I kind of listen to somebody, or when I read a comment when somebody's suggesting this, it kind of gripes me a little bit, and it kind of, turns my gears the wrong way, as it were. Now, I was reading an online article from some obscure place the other day, and they were talking about the history of Harley Davidson and all this kind of stuff. Now, the article was fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all, or from what I could see. But in the comment section below, there's a few people started piping up saying, yeah, but Harley Davidson racist, and Harley Davidson, against gays, and Harley Davidson against women, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, really? Where is this coming from? What is happening here? I've not even thought about this before. From my point of view, or what I see as Harley Davidson as a company, all they should be interested in, is selling bikes, selling merchandise, selling parts. Who buys it is irrelevant. What persuasion somebody is irrelevant. What gender somebody is irrelevant. So let's just break this down into its component parts. Are Harley Davidson racist? Well, just look at the amount of people who are riding Harley Davidsons, and are they predominantly white? Well, I suppose you've got to look at the different regions of the world. Where are most Harley Davidsons sold? Well, I would say in North America, Canada and Europe, and possibly Australia as well. Are they predominantly white riders? Yes, possibly so. But does that mean that only white people are riding motorcycles made by Harley Davidson? Well, absolutely not. You've got all types of people, all ethnicities riding that. And depending where you are in the world, depending on what the ratios are between different ethnic groups, you'll have proportionally more of one ethnicity riding a particular brand than another. It just stands to reason. But let's just look at Harley Davidson, let's say throughout their history. What kind of marketing campaigns have they done? Well, yes, it's all been, I suppose, white-led. I suppose they're selling the freedom, they're selling the lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. But remember, this is a sales pitch, and they're selling to what they thought at the time were the people who were going to be buying their bikes. And I suppose they're still doing it now. It's predominantly white who they think are going to be buying their bikes. They're advertising slogans, which we might see here in Europe or in the United States, are with white people and all that kind of stuff. But does that necessarily make them racist, or does that make them targeted to a particular audience? Now, let's just say Harley Davidson were advertising in India, for example, or South America. Well, they're not going to be using white actors, let's say. They're probably going to be using local people, because that's who you're going to identify with. Here in the UK, in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, I suppose, there's been a shift in the way companies and businesses are advertising, especially on mainstream media. They're using a lot more of actors from ethnic backgrounds, whether it be black, Chinese, Indian, Asian, whatever ethnic background, obviously, and white as well. So there is a whole spectrum kind of covered now, and that's right, that's readdressed the balance a little bit. But to say that Harley Davidson themselves are racist, I just think that's a bit misplaced, and it kind of lends itself to people just making these unsubstantiated comments and claims in a beneath a video or beneath a blog piece, and you just think, well, where are you getting that from? Now, let's just look at Harley Davidson historically a little bit, because this is where I think this may be coming from a little bit. And I've got to say, I don't think it's coming from the UK or Europe per se, but I think it's more from the United States and Canada, certainly United States, where they had more of a problem with this. Back in the day, a little bit, certainly sort of 70s and 80s, this does seem to be a problem, or did seem to be an issue with black people, black guys or women, trying to buy Harley Davidsons. And I've been told this directly by guys who I've spoken to as well. In fact, you know, that either they were being charged a lot more, or dealerships wouldn't want to sell to them either, or these guys, they had to get white friends to go and buy the motorcycle for them so that they can own their Harley. I mean, it's just a crazy, crazy thing. Now, I think the kind of small independent Harley Davidson dealer has become less and less now, and it's gone to these big dealerships now, and I think that has been ironed out a little bit. That has been certainly taken away. Did it happen? I'm sure it did. You know, do I have any personal knowledge of it? No, because I'm kind of from a different era and a different geographical location. Does racism exist? Oh, yes, it does. You'd be an idiot to think that it doesn't. But from Harley Davidson as a company now, whilst they might be selling predominantly to white people, that doesn't necessarily mean that Harley Davidson is an exclusive white product, let's say. There could be multiple reasons why people from different ethnic backgrounds don't buy Harley Davidsons, or don't ride them, or don't even ride motorcycles. I mean, if I go to a motorcycle event here in this country, some of the big ones, let's say, the general motorcycle shows, yes, I would say 85-90% of everybody attending is white. Yes, I would say that. Now, is that a reflection of our society? Possibly. Is it a reflection of the amount of white people versus other ethnic backgrounds that are buying motorcycles, or even into motorcycles in this country? Possibly. But is the motorcycle industry itself racist? No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are. I think what they're doing is, either in a particular country, they're looking, okay, what are our demographics here? Who's buying our bikes? Who historically has bought our bikes? And look, we're going to have, you know, this kind of advertising slogan, this kind of advertising campaign. But they're not saying to anybody, you can't buy this bike, or you can't ride this bike. You know, for any company in the world to say to anybody, to say, you can't buy this bike, but you can, yeah, absolutely, that would not wash. That would not wash in any way, shape or form. Because all they should be interested in is, does this person like motorcycles? Can they ride motorcycles? Have they got the money to buy it? That's all they're interested in. They're interested in the bums on their seats of their motorcycles, and basically riding them and buying them, and also buying parts and buying servicing and all that kind of stuff. Everything else is just irrelevant. Everything else, or should be irrelevant. Now, I say, I'm coming at this, I know what you're thinking, I'm coming at this from a white person who's just ridden bikes, but I've never seen racism like this. I've never seen discrimination like this. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, and I'm sure in other countries it has existed, certainly in the past, but does it still happen now? You know, I can't see it happening here in the UK. Possibly it does. I can't see it possibly happening in Europe. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you know, you'd have to ask somebody from a different ethnic background whether they feel that they are being discriminated against when they go to buy a motorcycle. You know, I really don't know. I mean, I'd say this would be an interesting one for us all to know. Does this still go on in the United States? Possibly it does. Possibly it does. And maybe this video needed purely just to be talking about racism in that regard. But, you know, it certainly has happened in the past, whether it's institutional racism, as coining the phrase here in the UK, or whether it's just individual people or individual small dealerships that happened back in the day. But I can't see it happening now. As I say, they wouldn't last very long within current climate, whether that happened. And the same now should be then put onto whether they're homophobic as well. they're anti-gays, they're anti-lesbian, they're anti, whatever persuasion you want to be. Well, again, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant what people do in their spare time or whatever preference they have. If they like riding motorcycles and they want to be on a motorcycle, well, who cares? I mean, their money is just as good as somebody else's. So, from my point of view, and from a company who's trying to sell a product, doesn't make a difference. If you want to buy that bike, buy it. Now, the argument could be that, okay, again, in their advertising and their promotion, they're never really saying, oh, look, this person, they are, gay or straight or whatever, and they're riding a Harley Davidson. Well, they don't have to. They don't have to tell anybody or explain to anybody that one of their customers is of a particular persuasion or a particular religious belief or a political persuasion either. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant what somebody is away from motorcycling. They just like riding bikes. They ride a bike. They want to be on that bike. They want to pay for that bike. That's it. What's the problem? So I can't see Harley Davidson as a company either, being like this either. Are Harley Davidson anti-women? Well, I'd say the person who made this comment obviously does not know anything about the way the market has changed over the last sort of 20 years, 15, 20 years, where the rise of women riders has just gone more and more and more, and they are heavily influential. Whilst the numbers still aren't as many as men, that's for sure, but it's getting quite close now. Certain models are favoured by women riders, and guess what? They are some of the best income generators, for Harley Davidson. Some of the most pro Harley Davidson riders are women. So they're not anti-women. In fact, they've embraced it so much they've brought women into the fold. No longer are their advertising slogans and campaigns all male-centric. It's definitely women focused as well, or inclusive, or it's equal in that regard. So again, they're not anti-women at all, as far as I can tell. They're very pro-women and pro what women can bring to the scene, the lifestyle, and the riding experiences, let's say. And all power to them, all power to women for getting into this, and all power to Harley Davidson for getting into this as well. So I suppose the argument is, well, they've done this for women, but why haven't they done this for, black people or Asian people or Chinese or Indian, or, why they haven't done this for, gay, lesbian, whatever, this kind of thing. Well, again, I think it's a different thing. There you're just talking about, women coming into the riding environment, and the other thing you're just talking about different ethnic groups. And I think that is determined primarily by demographics, by ethnic ratios within a particular country, and where they think they can attract the most riders or the most bums on seats as new potential customers. I think that's the limit of what they're looking at. I just don't think they're discriminating against a particular ethnic background. Certainly not in today's environment, or certainly not for the modern Harley Davidson. Perhaps years gone by, 30 years, 25, 30 years ago, perhaps that was going on, and certainly way before then. Perhaps, yeah, I could see that happening. Maybe not at a company level, but certainly maybe at dealerships level or small independent shops. Maybe. I mean, it depends where you are. We all know about historical racial issues in the United States, for example, but other countries have had the same issue as well. So I think sometimes, you look at comments, what people say, and you think, well, where are they basing this off? And you know what it's like. Somebody will make a comment just because they want to feel important, or they just think, oh, yeah, I'm going to say this, and it's part of, me claiming that bastion of male white, motorcycle riding, they're all gay bashers or women haters or black haters or whatever it is. It's absolute nonsense, most of it. Now, usually they're unfounded accusations, or people who may have stumbled upon something and they're just jumping on the bandwagon. But I could be completely wrong, of course. And one of the reasons I make this video is that sometimes I read a comment and I think, where's this coming from? What are you talking about? And I say, sometimes it's good to have these things out in the open to discuss them a little bit more and actually talk about these things in an open way. And if you're anything like me, I don't care who anybody is. I don't care what colour somebody is, where they come from, what persuasion they do, what their preferences are. It means absolutely nothing to me. And hopefully, if you watch my channel, you already know that, and hopefully you feel the same way. But what I do care about is that if you like motorcycles, or if you enjoy the same things that I do, and if you're into the same things that I am, then we have common ground, of course. But just because you don't, that doesn't mean I won't like you. I won't discriminate against you. We are talking about two completely different issues. So let's not muddy the waters here. We're saying that one particular company is racist or homophobic or anti-women, when they're clearly not in some cases, and maybe in other cases in the past there might have been an argument for that. Let us know in the comments below what your thoughts on this. But don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share. Check out the website RevelatorAlf.com. Harley Davidson, racist? Homophobic? Anti-women? I don't think so. Ta-da.